It goes without saying at all that if I'm covering a deck about Phantom Blaster Dragon, I obviously will talk about his burning counterpart, the guy that was left on the floor crying 3,000 years ago. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Today I am back to cover Dragonic Overlord DN in DivineZ. So I know this is a deck that no one has asked for, and frankly, a lot of people are asking for V now. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty good, but truth be told, I still want to cover a bit more from DivineZ to show you case studies on what you can do in this format. Today I'm going to show you a negative example of someone who didn't really benefit from DivineZ and how we would actually play around that. That, of course, is Dragonic Overlord DN. As you probably know about DivineZ, they increase your deck size from 50 to 54, which, in case you're not knowing, it does make it harder for you to actually pull the one card you always want to see in Dragonic Overlord: your critical triggers. Now, I will be covering an entire video talking about all the impacts of DivineZ format. You can check the link in the description for that explanatory video. I guarantee you it's worth your time because I don't want to repeat myself for many of the points I stated there. However, because, there are winners and losers to every format, I want to talk about someone who is easily perceived as a loser in this format, which in my opinion is Dragonic Overlord, and like I said, what you can do. It's very similar to the old Dragonic Overlord list. I have linked the last updated Dragonic Overlord list I did back in March, I believe, of last year, because, that's where we got all the hatchet. But all the hatchet also recently got reprinted in triple drive booster. So please, buy it when it's cheap. And Happy New Year. So let's talk about the right deck. Our right deck, we obviously will play the Energy Crest, but I don't have it physically right now, so it's alright. You just need to know that it's there. Our grade 0, we play Zedolance. And frankly, it doesn't matter what starter you play. You can play any starter you want. You can play, like literally anything. Like you could play Spark Kid Dragoon, no one cares. Or if you want to be, a nostalgia boy, you could always just opt for Lizard Runner Undum. Like I said, it really doesn't matter, but it's all up to you. Our grade 1, we still will play the Embodiment of Armor Bar. I know a lot of people do not like playing the Dragonic Overlord right line in Dragonic Overlord's deck because they rather play the Sealed Dragons right line that is used for Bar Sagra. However, given the nature of DivineZ, I would actually always opt to play Bar. Bar, when rolled upon by a Dragon Knight Nahalem, search my deck for any grade 1 card with a counterblast and add it to my hand. This will count for my Elementaria Sanctitude, this will count for my Damjits, this will count for my Harps, my very important promo, any secret tech we will show later. The goal is very simple. We want to toolbox out our grade 1s, and while Dragonic Overlord isn't exactly a shining example of Sanctuary Guard Dragon, having that Counterblast 1 skill is very effective in my opinion. And most people will give you damage early this format because they're all very eager to kill you, but they don't know that you're actually helping them more rather than not. The second skill is that when your Vanguard attack hits, this unit gains 5,000 power as a once per turn skill, but we don't use that skill because we don't have opportunities to call Bar. But you can play Bar in your Overlord decks. In the main deck, he's perfectly fine. Another one that's perfectly fine is the Dragon Knight Nahalem. Nahalem, when rolled upon by a unit with Overlord in its name, you can super recall this to the rear guard circle. Alfred Early, how are you, buddy? But the other skill of this guy is that if you have a Vanguard Overlord in its name, Soul Blast 1, this unit and that unit will gain 5,000 power. That is pretty good. It gives your Overlord another 5k power so that his multi-attack swings will generally be more powerful. And as I mentioned before, himself also gains 5 and it's a free +1. You can play more Nahalems in the right deck. I've covered Soul Overlord before back in 2021, but we've moved away from that. But you can always look into the Soul related options and you will see Nahalem at the heart of all this madness. Our grade 3, we will jump straight into a beatdown frenzy with Dragonic Overlord DN. And I know what you're thinking, where's Overlord? We'll get to him in a bit. During your turn, as long as you have Dragonic Overlord, the original, inside your soul, this unit cannot lose drive checks by any effects, and it gains 5,000 power. So he's an 18k attacker constantly during your turn as long as you've achieved the cross-right condition. We'll get to how this works, but you don't really need to worry about the schematics. You do need to worry about the second skill. At the end of the battle, that this unit attack at a cost once per turn, count +1, choose 2 cards you hand, discard it, stand this unit, it gets drive -1. But if you have Dragonic Overlord already in the soul, then you don't get the drive -1. It's just a restand. It's a net 0 restand, which is pretty good. I mean, our Vanguard is a much shitter deck, and he still gets love, so why can't this guy? Other thing you will need to know is that, you know, if you don't manage to achieve the Dragonic Overlord cross-ride, and you use this skill, and then you want to resolve Drunk Veda, it's gonna be kind of hard. You may, you know, you will have to pray that you get Drunk Veda first, then use Overlord skill, but frankly, as long as you achieve the cross-ride, it don't really matter. Moving on to our grade 3s. Our grade 3s, we play 3 copies of Dragonic Overlord DN in the main deck, 1 copy of Dragonic Overlord DN in the right deck. But we still have a few more, and it's gonna surprise you, so hang on to your seats. We play 4 copies of the original Dragonic Overlord in the main deck, and 1 copy of Bracing Angel Ladder from Triple Drive Booster. So let's get into that, but I want to start with the less controversial options first. Dragonic Overlord is our faithful original who is still bearing a slot in this deck. You don't really need to worry about his skill here for his second skill because you don't ride Dragonic Overlord in this deck. However, Dragonic Overlord still has 1 skill that's actually very valuable to us today. When this unit attacks a rearguard circle, your opponent cannot guard. That's it. That's it. That's a straight up, I will kill you no matter what. Your Virenas, your, you know, Morfessas, your Mygo, your anything that threatens you on the board, drop a rearguard Dragonic Overlord, swing at it, it's dead. It's super effective as a removal tool. I know what some people are saying, but why would you spend an attack to retire something? But then again, you are the same fools who literally told me to play Brachioforce. So the question would be then, why can't I just play more copies of the same thing? So Overlord is still played at 4 because he's still a very effective removal tool, but not only that, there's actually a hidden secret on why we play Overlord at 4. It's because of this guy, and you will recognize him from my last year video. He's actually a promo, his name is All the Hatchet Dragon, but he's recently reprinted as a rare in Triple Drive Booster. So I will get into him in a bit, but this guy basically is like your Felty Rosa slash the PDO. He will cheat out your cross-ride for you. You're welcome. I won't go much into it, but we obviously play 4 copies of DN because a turn 4 Persona Ride and then a multi-attack is just always very good. I don't think I need to explain that. If you need me to explain why a Persona Ride multi-attack is good, let me know. I may just spend some time to explain it. And then of course we play Ladder. Ladder is the most expensive card in this deck because it's from Triple Drive Booster, but it is not cheap and it is not easy to find. However, Ladder gives us something that Overlord needs a lot. Soul, power, and a draw. And board resist. So Shiranui, get out. You've officially been kicked off the ladder. What does ladder do though? So you play this, it's a Regalis piece, so you only can play 1. You basically get the skill that your center comp Vanguard will always gain 5,000 power for this turn. And then your rearguards, any and all of your rearguards until the end of your opponent's next turn cannot be moved anywhere except the rearguard, and they can't be targeted. So you can't retire them, you can't bind them, you can't Shihai them, you can't have sex with them, you can't do anything. Like that's it. They're fully protected by the will of God. It's just that good. And of course this card moves itself to the soul and then you draw 1. So not only did you give Overlord soul, you gave him draw, you gave him multiple power boosts because he will restand the Vanguard. And you gave Overlord's relatively more fragile board a permanent protection for an entire turn. Playing this card on turn 3 basically tells you to jump off a building because their entire turn is shut off. They can't dominate, they can't do anything, and it basically makes every retire deck like Gandiva look like sitting ducks. So generally speaking, if you are playing in a retire heavy meta, or if you're playing in a meta where you hate control, pick this guy up. Pick Angel Ladder. It's a really good tech option. I know it's been a while since my Triple Drive Booster unboxing videos, but I did allude to that, and I kept my promise by keeping it in a video, and I made sure it's Overlord because it actually works really well with Dragonic Overlord. Moving up to our grade 2s, we have quite interesting ones. 4 Brachioforce. I know I said, the fools that told me to play Brachioforce, but let's be fair, everyone loves Brachioforce. Brachioforce even got reprinted. He's actually a really good card nowadays. Then of course we play 1 copy of the Dragonite Harlem for the right deck. We play 4 copies of Burning Horn Dragon. We play 4 copies of All the Hatchet, and then we play 3 copies of Desert Gunner Ethan. A lot of grade 2s, it appears at face value, and you may be wondering, why am I playing so many grade 2s? Well, the actual fact of the matter is most of these grade 2s don't even stay on your board, so I want to cover that. Now, Harlem is still our primary one and all attacker, so no matter what you're going to say, he's still just really good in the right deck. But if you want to play more copies in the main deck, I wouldn't stop you. He's really good. And then moving on, we have that's kind of Ethan. Ethan, you may recognize him from our Set 3 Overlord deck profile. You may recognize him from our 2021 Overlord deck profiles. But he's back. He's back for vengeance. At the end of the battle, your Vanguard attack hits, retire this unit, draw a card, and counter charge 1. He's a net 0 counter charge, and that's really it. So you can just drop in the back row, use his skill, retire, draw, cycle. It's all about cycle because of the new 54 rule. You want to draw as much as possible to keep your pieces flowing, and cards like Ethan are key to showing you why it's done. We only play 3 because you can tell he's only a 9k attacker, so he's virtually useless going second, but don't let it stop you because the DivineZ draw will give you enough advantage to make him worth it. I want to talk about someone a bit more easier to talk about. So let's go into Burning Horn Dragon. Burning Horn Dragon is a very iconic Dragonic Overlord support, and I love his new art. Still to this day. When placed on the rear guard circle, card blast 1, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose a card with Overlord from the top 7 and add it to your hand. If you do not add counter charge 1, it's compensation. It's so unfair. Like Evelyn, we have to literally soul blast out something. Ezel, Vermilion, at every encounter deck, we don't get this level of compensation. It's so unfair. God. But of course, the second skill of Burning Horn is that whenever your Overlord unit attacks, it gains 5,000 power. Your Overlord Vanguard attacks. So as long as Overlord attacks twice, he goes up to 20k beta. It's pretty good. And on turn 2, he's already a solid 10k beta, and he really helps you dig the deck. Dig the deck for more Overlords so that you can Persona Ride, add more copies of original Overlord so that you can cheat out the Cross Ride. But I've tickled your balls for long enough. Why do I keep saying cheat the Cross Ride? If you paid attention to my previous Dragonic Overlord deck profile, that's because of Alder Hatchet Dragon, who was reprinted in Triple Drive Booster. As long as you have an Overlord in its name, in your soul, this unit gains 5,000 shield. Pretty nice, a defensive option. In 2023, can you believe that? Oh my goodness, Twitter, you must be mad. And the second skill of this guy is, if your opponent's Vanguard is greater, so Overlord is a go second deck in terms of cheating on the cross ride. You need to retire this unit. Choose an Overlord from your drop zone and move it into your soul. Yes, I know what it sounds. That's a -1 just to achieve a cross-ride effect by putting the original Dragonic Overlord from your drop zone to the soul. And it's pretty bad because, all the Hatchet Dragon is by virtue a Guardian card. So why would I call a card meant for the Guardian circle onto my rearguard circle and then force him to commit suicide and then I just cheat out a cross-ride? At face value, it really doesn't make sense. But considering that Overlord is a pure center column beatdown deck, you just drop all your cards and keep running as fast as possible. This guy is one of the strongest Overlord supports. You always want to see all the Hatchet. Your first copy of all the Hatchet cheats out your cross ride, and anything else is a 10k shield. I cannot stress that enough. In a format where your shield ratio relatively goes down if you don't check enough triggers, which I did talk about in my DivineZ video, check the link in the description, you will notice that having cards that gain shield by themselves is very good. So because of that, because we have extra slots to spare, you should play all the Hatchet at a 4 in every and all Overlord decks. Even if you don't wish to cheat the cross ride, put him in. And of course we have Mr. Brachial Force, the good old evergreen. See, it's green. It's evergreen. When this unit attack hits, retire this unit, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, retire it, draw a card. Yep, so basically he's a +1 because he retires himself, retires one of the opponent's rearguards, so it's a -1 to them and a +1 to you. It's very nice. Brachial Force is the central source of board control in the early game. He gives you practically so many things here and there that he's always going to be worth it to play at a 4-off. As long as people keep playing early aggression, Brachial Force will live for another 1,000 years. Moving on to our grade 1s. Our grade 1s, we play a copy of Embodiment of Alder Bar in the right deck, although I already did cover him. So let's talk about the rest of the grade 1, shall we? We play 4 copies of Dragritter Harp, we play 4 copies of our Perfect Guard, because we can survive, and then we play 3 copies of Dragritter Midhat, who you may be going, who is this? I'll cover it, don't worry. We talked about Bar, so yeah, that's pretty much about it. we talk about Prophet Guards, we obviously need our Prophet Guards to stay alive. If you want to play Sanctitude in, because you packed it recently from the Quick Start decks, congratulations, and that's a great thing to do. But I didn't put Elementaria into this deck list. Frankly, you can, but if you don't have it, you don't need it. You know, you can't just play 4 regular Prophet Guards, no one will stop you. 4 copies of Harp. Harp is the best card in the deck. He is a promo, but he's been reprinted in the Festival collection. He's been printed in Triple Drive Booster. So, very frankly, if you can't afford this card, then don't play Overlord. Just don't. Trust me, it's not worth it. Not worth it. What is his skill though? If your Vanguard's Overlord, when you want to discard Harp, he counters 2 cards instead of 1. Wow, Overlord took lessons from Phantom Blaster Overlord. But what about it? At the end of the battle, that this unit is discarded for the cost of your Dragonic Overlord's ability. Call this card to the rearguard circle, and this unit gains 5,000 power. So you literally had to discard 2 cards for the end, right? So your discard 2 for the end, which usually is a -2, now becomes a +1 because you call a 13k booster. So in English, you just changed his skill from -2 +2 net 0 to +3. That's virtual insanity right there. It's just that good. So if you don't have Harp in your Overlord decks, do me a favor, stop playing Overlord. Go invest in Z-Lance, go invest in Vermilion, go invest in even Gundiva. It's gonna be way better than Overlord without Harp, because Overlord without Harp is like a wheelchair person without wheels. Like it cannot be done. Okay, it cannot be done. But I promise you some secret tech, and here is Drag Rater Midhead. He is from DBT07, which is Eugene's strongest set. And he's originally meant for Eugene, but you know, things happen. What does he do, you may ask, and why is he in this list? Well, at the end of the battle that one of your units stands by a card's effect, retire this guy and draw a card. It seems utterly useless, it's just a net 0, but Midhead is one of the strongest things that Overlord needs in the new 54. You absolutely need to use Midhead as your first booster. When Overlord restands, retire him, you draw. It's a net 0, but you keep your deck moving. You can drop him as early as turn 1, keep him as a booster for your center column, and he's going to threaten for 3 turns later. No matter how you want to phrase it, Midhead is one of the best ways you compete for early game alongside Brachial Force, because these are cards you can absolutely throw on the board with 0 consequence, and the numbers you throw on the board will threaten even the likes of Shiranui's Grade 2 Gaming, so you will need to play Midhead in this deck. I used to play stuff like Tencha Steed, I used to play stuff like Togachi Rashi, all of which are now irrelevant, because it's not about how much shield you can hoard, it's also about the cards you move. And in a deck that just got more inflated, it got more inflated because of the new 54, you need to make sure you pull as many triggers as possible, which means you need to thin your deck. I cannot stress this enough. So again, before I end this segment, if you have not watched my DivineZ video, please, I beg you, check the link in the description. It does you more good than me. And okay, now that we've got through all the heavy stuff, let's talk about the more fun stuff. Let's talk about Overlord's favorite win condition, shall we? And that is obviously going to be our triggers. Who doesn't like triggers? We obviously play Jock Feather. I mean, was that really a surprise? We play 4 heal because this is Vanguard lol. We play 8 crits because, you know, we want to kill them. Play 3 fake draws. We need a burn draw deck. And then our starter. And yeah, that basically wraps up my Dragonic Overlord The End deck profile for 2024/DivineZ. I had a lot of fun testing this guy. I genuinely thought that I would hate this deck, but you know what? The more I play it, the more fun I have. I really can't summarize it enough. This deck, although you know, on paper, it really seems like it's really bad in terms of, you know, being more bloated. It does actually help that we have not only the energy draw, which is, you know, great for going second, and Overlord likes to go second because of, you know, all the hatchet. But above all, it also allows us to compete going first, because going first, you know, we generally have a 4 attack turn, and our center column can swing relatively heavily, and if you just pull 1 crit out of, I don't know, 3 drive checks, that generally can skew a game quite well, because most people do have less shield in hand. Of course, Overlord still has terrible matchups, which is one of the reasons why we put in Angel Ladder, because this makes sure that decks that normally scale super well like Shiranui cannot curb stomp us. We will not be curb stomped by stuff like, you know, Gundiva. We won't at all. We will protect ourselves, we will stand firm. And it also allows Overlord to gain additional power. We want to pour as much power as possible to the center column and then wreck it for absolute madness. Just keep swinging, swinging, swinging. Even if you check blanks, the numbers you put on the board, the pressure you put, and more importantly, the danger of pulling triggers is enough to make your opponent say, it's the end. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you've not checked my DivineZ video, I will say for the last time, please check the link in the description. If you've not seen my Phantom Blaster Overlord video for DivineZ, which is the first deck profile I'm doing for DivineZ, check out the link in the description. It may interest you if you're already a fan of encounter content. For my fans that are interested in V content, you will have to wait a bit longer. I'm very sorry because I'm still going through the DivineZ backlog that I've been testing for the last month or so. But I still seek all of your patience as we move into 2024. Again, Happy New Year to all of you. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.